All right, let's bring in David Axelrod. He had hosted a discussion with the Prime Minister at the University of Chicago's Institute of Politics. He is a CNN senior political commentator and former senior advisor to President Barack Obama. Thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be with you, Morella.
What is your take on the conversation you had with the Prime Minister? Had the two of you met before?
We hadn't met before. I was interested to see him. He obviously is someone who is familiar to Americans, and I knew of him and his vaunted political skills and communication skills. But it was great to spend some time with him, and interesting to hear him make the pitch to Americans for NAFTA, for trade, for the things that are now very much being contested with the American government.
I want to get into that in just a moment, but I also want to ask about what is the affection there seems to be for our prime minister in your country. Do you think that the leader of your country factors into that?
Yeah, I think he does. As you know, there's been a precipitous drop in Canadian esteem for American government in the last year, and certainly in a university audience there is some of the same, and so his presentation of progressive values was one that went over very, very big with the audience. And, he is so different in his approach and his style, much more like our last president than our current president. And so he was a big hit with this audience.
Yeah, we remember the bromance we used to talk about between Barack Obama and Justin Trudeau. What do you make now of the threats to walk away from NAFTA that are coming from both sides?
Yeah, look, I think that, for President Trump, there is a little more political wind at his back to do that because he ran on an anti-trade platform. He demonized NAFTA. And so, this is consistent with the way that he campaigned. Whether it's in the interest of the U.S. to do it or not is a different question. For the Prime Minister, obviously, it's a very tricky pass because I don't think Canadians want him to surrender too much in these negotiations. On the other hand, my sense is Canadians really prize the relationship with America and understand with 70% of your exports coming to America, having an agreement with the U.S. is important. So, I think both of them have to think through their politics, but it may be a little bit more complicated for the Prime Minister.
Do you think it's going to be scuttled?
I just don't know. I believe that it will because I think there are a lot of people who are making the case on this side of the border that it is important to get done. But, oftentimes Donald Trump makes his decisions through the prism of his politics and his political base. And so, it would be foolish to say, yes, it will get done. I think that we'll know in the coming weeks and months.
He's speaking, obviously, he was speaking in Chicago. Now he's on the West Coast. The audiences that he has chosen to speak to, are they ripe to hear the message that he's bringing to them?
Yeah, I think so. One interesting thing that he's doing here is he met with the mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, met with Bruce Rauner, the governor of Illinois. So he is trying to build relationships around the president, it seems to me. And certainly he's going to get a very respectful hearing in Silicon Valley where not only will his economic messages hit, but I think there is an identification with him as a progressive politician. And he is very tech savvy. He is known to be that. So he is someone who will relate well to that audience. So I expect that this will be a productive visit for him.
Just before we've got to let you go, I just want to get your take on whether or not we're going to see a shutdown today.
I know the leaders don't want to shut down, leaders of either party. And I was just listening to some of the debate from the Senate floor where they're trying to iron out some wrinkles in the final analysis here. But the House of Representatives is really the problem, and it's going to be a close vote there. At the end of the day, I think that they will not have a shutdown because everyone recognizes that shutdowns are politically toxic and nobody wants to see it again. And there's enough in there's enough in this deal for each party that they can, with a straight face, vote for it. But there are really raw feelings on Capitol Hill, and immigration has a big overhang on this. So even if they pass this tonight and there isn't a shutdown, I don't imagine that peace and love is going to break out on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, probably not anytime soon. David Axelrod, sir, thanks for your time today.
Good to be with you.